Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with Balaji O.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.
What's going on, fellow Bravepreneurs? Welcome to another edition of the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Today, I have a dramatic story for you. This guy is going to motivate you out of your seat. You're about to hear from a very good, longtime friend of mine, Mr. Mario Brown. Now, Mario Brown was voted the 2012 Marketer of the Year. This guy knows his stuff. He's a best-selling author. He's a serial entrepreneur, software, coaching, mentoring, whatever. He's got it. He's done it. This lifestyle entrepreneur has gone from Germany to Ecuador to Florida, now in Las Vegas, changing lives and changing businesses everywhere he goes. We're going to talk to Mario about how to merge your mission with your business. Mario's son recently turned 1 year old, so we'll talk about being a new dad as well. But please help me welcome Mr. Mario Brown. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you, man. That was an awesome introduction. Happy to be here, man. Thank you.
It is amazing to catch up with you. It's been many, many years since we've seen face to face, and you've been busy, Mario. You've been busy.
Yeah, for sure, man. We got to do what we got to do, you know. You got to grow. I believe in that, and if you're not growing, you're dying. So I always try to have a new challenge, a new goal, and push myself.
Mario is always pushing himself. And the funny thing is, this guy wasn't exactly born with an entrepreneurial golden spoon in his mouth. Mario, let's go back. Let's take folks back for those who don't know you and maybe talk through your entrepreneurial journey. Where did it start and how did you end up where you are right now?
Yeah, sure. So I do have to mention that just for background reasons is that I was born in the States. I grew up in Germany. My mom took me to Germany when I was a baby, and my dad stayed in the States. And she always struggled with drugs. So when I was about 13, I ended up in foster care for 3.5 years. And, you know, back then I thought like, oh, man, that's the worst day of my life. And I blamed her, blamed myself. And, you know, looking back now, fortunately, I'm realizing, wow, that was the best day of my life because, you know, in the foster home, they pushed me to have discipline, do my homework, go to school. My mom was forced to become clean again. And, you know, I saw some stuff growing up, unfortunately, that I don't wish any kids would see. But at the same time, the reason why I'm sharing the story right now is that it made me obviously stronger. Like, you know, it toughens you up. And that helped me for sure to later on make the decision to go from Germany to Ecuador with nothing and just backpacking and then go from Ecuador to Miami. Because I was running out of cash, ended up in Miami with my backpack, $500 to my name, and no friends, no family. And that's kind of like how I started. I found a job in South Beach, working the night shift at the front desk. And after about 3 months, I had enough money to buy a computer. And this is a true story. The first couple of weeks, I just wasted time watching movies on the computer. But then I actually said, you know what, there's more here. I had a purpose. I wanted to make some money, go back to Ecuador initially, and I said, like, let's figure this out. And I went to Google, like I said, true story, man, and said how to make money online. And that's literally 8 years ago right now how I got started with online marketing, entrepreneurship. I started reading books, going to events, self-studied. And it wasn't all, you know, like sunshine and roses. I mean, obviously there were big challenges, being overwhelmed. But to answer your question, that's how I got started and introduced to entrepreneurship and online marketing.
That is amazing. It's only been 8 years. It feels like you've been doing this for a while. So you've gone through a lot of transition, a lot of growth in those 8 years. Mario, what do you think it was that really drove you to be so kind of persistent and insistent about growing? What really drove you to leave Germany and go to Ecuador, of all places?
Yeah. So basically, you know, leaving Germany was just adventure. I got a little bit tired of living in Germany and being like in a, status quo or just in the day to day. So I needed like a change of scenery. I wanted to learn a new language. That's how I ended up in Ecuador and then in the States. And actually not sure where it comes from. I mean, like I said, my mom, single mom, raised me. She struggled. I saw her struggle. I had to go through some stuff, and it just, it got me stronger. So I never really minded going on those journeys, starting a business, being an entrepreneur, doing videos, putting your name out there. That's all scary stuff, man. If you put your name out there for anything, if you want to stand for something, you can be criticized, you can be made fun of. So it's even today, even after 8 years, you would think, everything that I touch or something, it's like with confidence, but I still have the same self-doubt, same, fears and things like that. I think it's just normal. Putting yourself out there is scary. So I'm not exactly sure where it comes from, but when I went to the States, at least I can tell you, I was sleeping in that hotel in dormitories, which means you share the room with other people. And then I found a small apartment where I shared that apartment also with other people. And it was just, I wanted to pay my bills, live a better life. As I learned more about success and things like that, also the material things came in. I wanted to have my own place, maybe a car later on. So the material things drove me as well. And I had my girlfriend, now wife, still in Ecuador, and I wanted her to be with me. So there was another driving force as well. So multiple things going on, man.
Okay, so Mario, I want to go back and talk a little bit about Ecuador. Tell us about this young lady who caught your eye and had you wanting to go back there.
Yeah, so basically my original plan was to go to Ecuador and then actually travel through Latin America and backpacking and then, go to Mexico. And I had this amazing plan of adventure. And then, I arrived in Ecuador. I met her first day, and basically second day or third day, I'm not sure right now, second or third day, we got together. And, the traveling didn't happen, but, I found my, soulmate, and I just stayed in Ecuador for 7 months and learned Spanish. And at some point, though, I had to say, you know what, I have to generate some money. And that's how I ended up flying to the States. And she basically, my buddy who I went with to Ecuador, she's his cousin's second grade, and she was the only one in the family who spoke English, and she helped us. And they chatted, and I was like, I know it was back in the day with Microsoft Messenger, and I saw her picture, and I was like, oh, wow, she's cute. So I started chatting with her. And like I said, once I arrived in Ecuador, 2 days later, it was, it was a wrap.
That's amazing. So you guys have a beautiful son. What has that transition been like, going from single Mario 8 years ago to being married and now being a father?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's just different. It's like before that, all my focus was, heavily on business and generating revenue. And once he was born and, us getting married and everything changes immediately. Your priorities change. Everything just changes. And, the transition was interesting. I mean, once you decide first to be an entrepreneur and then you become a father and, you're married. So you have all those responsibilities. And you have your own life that you want to, grow. You have your life as with the family that you want to grow. You want to have quality time with your kids, with your wife, with your, spouse. And, it's definitely a challenge, but that's how everything is in life that's worth it, man. Everything that's worth it, you have to work on it, and you have to work on it daily. Like it's, the first year or so, it could be cool once you're married, and, it's for both right now, a family or being married. But it's a daily thing, man. It's so easy to take things for granted or people for granted. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of us make, including myself. I'm not perfect, but I try every day to remember that and count my blessings in the morning and smile and, spend some quality time with family members and not take them for granted, it's difficult, but it's the only way to do it, I think.
Yeah, that's a very, very important point that you bring up, Mario. And as you've pointed out, it's not always the easiest one to follow through on, especially for those entrepreneurs out there who maybe have kids and they're trying to bootstrap a business and there's never enough time in the day. So what advice might you have for folks who are in that situation right now? They wear so many different hats and they're trying to be good spouses. They're trying to be good parents. They're trying to be good business people. It's a lot. How do you stay mindful? How do you stay appreciative and thankful when you have one thing after the other stressing you out every day?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's pretty loaded. So there's many things that I do, and it's kind of like to each their own. So I tried many different things, from morning routine, meditating, counting your blessings in the morning, counting them at night. For some people, it's like going to church together. They say like they say that pray together, stay together, and kind of like what we do is we say like train together, stay together. So we go, for example, to the gym together and work out. But long story short, there is no one. I mean, there's like basic advice like communication and things like that. But for me, I just have to commit to understanding that it's a daily thing, that I have to daily work on it, and you cannot let go. Like every day I have to tell my wife that I love her. And, it's for us, for example, I mean, it's those little things. I don't know how deep you want me to go with it in terms of the relationship.
Let's go all the way deep, man, all the way deep.
Okay, cool. So for me, for example, I don't wait for Mother's Day or what's the other one when you're a couple and Valentine's Day. I don't wait for those things to take her for dinner or do like little gifts and things like that. I try to do that every month, and it's like those little things that go a long way. For example, in the morning, for me personally, I have a morning routine where I make sure I count my blessings. And it's just a couple of seconds, like literally 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I just say thanks. And, for, my health, that I have another day to be alive. But also I say thanks for my wife and my son, and I send them some love mentally. And, at night, usually when we go to bed, we have this little routine where we say, what are the 3 things that were great today? And those little things, it just changes your mind to focusing on the positive. Like one rule that we have, we never go to bed fighting, for example. Now we hardly fight, but if something comes up, like you said, you're an entrepreneur, you have a lot of things going on. We had a rule that you never go to sleep fighting or being upset. You have to talk about it, figure it out so that you can wake up again positive and loving each other. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense. That makes absolute sense. Wow. I'm interested. I remember that my mom, when I was a kid, used to emphasize the importance of communication. And when she would do this as a kid, I always brushed it off because I didn't have time for that. I was trying to go outside to play. But after I got married, I was now able to realize how important and how powerful that open communication is. When you live with someone every day, you've said it, Mario, it's super easy to take them for granted. You're not even trying to do that necessarily, but day in, day out, they're always there. They're always doing certain things. It's easy to take them for granted. So having that communication allows you to nip things in the bud so those little problems don't become big problems. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I love it.
Yeah. And the other thing that I heard, where did I hear it? I think in the book, the Slight Edge the compound effect. There was the compound effect from the guy who runs the Success magazine. He had this cool exercise where he, and I try to do it on a daily basis because over time, unfortunately, it's weird. Like you get to know someone in the beginning and you just show them your greatest features, so to speak. Right. And then over time,
right.
You learn about a couple of things that where in the beginning you were like, oh, this is awesome. I love this about you. Where later on, you kind of like, oh, this annoys me and that annoys me. And then you start more and more to focus on those little things that annoy you. And he made a good point that you have to refocus and focus on, okay, what is it that I love about that person? What is it in the beginning that I loved about that person? So for example, with my wife, quick example. She's very outgoing. She loves to be a connector. She likes to go out and party and things like that. And I don't mean like nightclub partying. I mean like meeting other people, going to kids' birthdays and organizing get-togethers, that type of party, I mean. And for me, I'm an introvert. Like when I'm on stage, okay, I go all in because I want to energize people. But in general, I'm always the one in the back of the room. I'm always the one not talking a lot, more listening. So when I met her, I loved about her that she's outgoing. Because it's kind of like it's something that I don't have in my life. But then over time, once we got together, it started to annoy me because I'm more of an introvert. And she's like, hey, let's meet those guys and those guys. And I started complaining about it. And I realized like what he said, like, it's like, okay, I have to focus on what is it that I love in the beginning. And I have to always refocus. Okay, that's actually something that I love about it. That's why we got married. And, you have to keep that front focus. I think the Navy SEALs called it keeping something front focus where I really try to focus on the positive and, and it helps, man. Like, with everything in life, even as an entrepreneur, when things go wrong, okay, what's the positive thing? What's the silver line that I can take from it? And it's easier said than done. But if you don't do it, it's, you're going to have regret and it's frustrating, and you're going to focus on the negative about your spouse, and then problems really start.
You said a lot of really, really powerful stuff there, Mario. You have to almost be intentional about the focus, because it doesn't, in the beginning, it happens naturally.
Because you love,
Yeah, you're in love and everything is magical, and those little quirks, they're cute at that point.
Right.
But then after a while, they start to get on your nerves. They start to get annoying. I find it really funny how it's so easy for my mind to pick out the things my wife is doing wrong. But it's very hard for me to see that I'm doing 2 or 3 times as many things wrong on a daily basis, just going through the regular day. I have a lot of quirks that are very annoying, and my wife puts up with me anyway. So you're right. If I don't catch myself, and if I'm not intentional about saying, you know what, those little things, I'm not even going to focus on them. If I'm not intentional about that, the compound effect could actually have a negative side to it. You compound focusing on those little small negative things day after day, week after week, month after month, and eventually the husband and wife become strangers in their own house. They're not talking to each other anymore because they've just been seeing the negative things over the past several years.
Correct. And to actually respond to your actual question that you had in the beginning, when people are entrepreneurs and parents, and they have their own thing going on, like, how do you deal with that? Like, one thing that I learned a couple of years back was where someone said that if you fail in one area, and we all know that failure is actually a good thing because it gets you closer to what's working, but in still, if you do a launch, let's say, and you start a new business and it doesn't work out right away, a good tip that this person gave me was like, you cannot take that personal. Like what he said, like, let's say you have a sales presentation and it doesn't go well. Okay. In that role as a presenter, you failed today. It wasn't great, but that doesn't mean that you're not still a great dad, a great husband, a great son, a great friend. And it really helped me back then because business wasn't going so well. And he helped me understand to detach from that and understand, hey, that's just one role in your life. That's okay. You can still be an amazing husband right now. You can still go to the basketball game and be a great friend or teammate and things like that. And I think when we have so much going on and some of the things don't go well, we have to realize, hey, there's other areas where I can still shine. I can still be a great dad today, have some quality time. I can smile at my wife, tell her something nice. Those little things. And does that make sense? That really helped me. Because we have a lot going on, man, being entrepreneurs and a dad and trying to work out and eating healthy and be a great husband. Like, man, it is challenging.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I want to kind of ask you about the difference in personality between yourself and your wife. A lot of us who are married or dating even, we have that same situation. I'm also an introvert. My wife is more of an extrovert than I am. So how do you find that space, that mental space for yourself, Mario, where, just to kind of recharge? As an introvert, sometimes we need to be alone for a little bit, maybe not a long time, but for a little bit. How do you carve out that space so that you can be more present and more positive with your wife, more present and more positive with your son? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, it's a challenge that you have to work on. So for me personally, I just have to make sure I do get that time. So my morning routine, for example, in the mornings, I told her that's kind of like off limits, ideally. I mean, look, if you have a little one, nothing is off limits,
Nothing's off limits.
But in general, most of the time, that's a time where right away in the beginning, and I started this morning routine about 2 months ago, where I want to have some time for myself, and it's a total of maybe 30, 40 minutes. And that gives me something, where right away I can start the day kind of calm, get my stuff together mentally, and then, start the day. And then usually when I go to the gym, I mean, now I'm working out with her, so it's not really personal time, but I still often do my own exercises, go on the Stairmaster, plug in some audio phones. And, when I play basketball, for example, and honestly, man, I mean, it is what it is. I'm an entrepreneur, so I spend a lot of time in front of the computer by myself in the office. So that automatically gives me some time by myself, So sometimes I watch some YouTube videos to just get inspired. Obviously I get work done. And, but that by itself kind of like automatically gives me some me time. But, even away from the computer, I would say it's the morning routine, going to play basketball and sometimes just read a book where I just have to tell her, like, just give me like 30 minutes. And it's funny, like now that we have a little one, the time changed, where in the past I could have like hours by myself. Now
Right.
like those little, time spots.
That's great. That's great. I love that. That's very, very useful, very practical advice. I want to shift gears a little bit, Mario, to talk about the business side. Okay, so you've been able to coach multiple entrepreneurs to 6- and 7-figure businesses. For the entrepreneurs who are listening right now, and they get what you're saying. And they're like, okay, yes, on the relationship side, I need to carve out the time for the family. I need to be present. I need to be grateful. I get that. But on the business side, they still have a lot of turmoil, Mario. Things are not going well. They're hustling. They're working long hours. They don't have leverage. They're not making the money that they thought they'd be making. Could you maybe give some guidelines for someone who's struggling in their business? What are some steps they need to take to get on the right path?
Yeah, so that's, again, a loaded question, and I love them. So I'm going to attack it with, multiple angles, so to speak. So it's like the number one advice for people starting out or they're ready to have a business. It's like you have to take imperfect action, massive imperfect action. I always tell that to people, and they usually resonate with it because when you want to do something, you always try, a lot of people at least, they try to be perfect. They don't launch that book that they have inside of them or that podcast or that live event because they feel it's not ready yet. It's not perfect. So they postpone. And what happens is they build regret and they get frustrated and you don't get momentum. So to get that momentum, you have to take imperfect action. So when I launched my first product, like way back in the Warrior Forum, I didn't know PayPal. I didn't know how to use Aweber. And, it wasn't the greatest product. Good is good enough sometimes. I put it out there still. And once I put it out there, I got a little bit of results. People started buying. And, I saw that this whole online marketing thing works. And I just went with it. Then I did my first webinar ever, which was pretty much a failure. Then I did my first live event. So I took imperfect action. But it gave me momentum. It gave me something tangible. And I think if you work as an entrepreneur, you have to see once in a while something tangible. You have to see yourself taking action, because if not, like I said, you regret it. And even for me right now, while business the last 8 years, I can't complain. It was great. I was on a journey to add more purpose to my business, and I struggled with that. It was a roller coaster. 1 week I would do it, the other week I wouldn't do it. Then I didn't do it for a couple of months, and it frustrated me. And I had regret building up. So now I had to take imperfect action a couple of weeks ago. So that's one. And then the other one is to just really, develop that mindset of sticking with it. Like, I right now started reading some books about, Navy SEALs, and I have no intention to become a Navy SEAL. Zero. Like, I don't like war. I don't like fighting. But the point is, like, if they figured out a way to be super focused, super persistent, set goals, have ultra clarity, and if they are the best in the world at something, or anyone is the best in the world in something, usually there's something we can learn from that. And one thing I got from them was really that don't quit, like toughen it out and go for it. And obviously you don't want to ride a dead horse. So if you feel that something absolutely is not working, change your approach and use a new strategy and adapt. So long story short, man, like listening to inspirational things, YouTube videos, reading, I have Audible always on. That helps me also as well. And then last but not least, a quick tip that helped me yesterday. Because I was like, a little bit down yesterday. I didn't know exactly, is this working, this and that. I was just like committing for it to life. And that helped me. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk said that, like, if you're in this for life, if you found something that you want to do till the rest of your life that puts the, food on the plate for your family and things like that. If it's for life, you cannot stop after 4 months or 4 weeks or 4 years. Like, you have to do it and you have to be all in. And I made the decision just yesterday. You know what? I never thought about it that way. I'm in this for life. I want to inspire people, impact people. So yes, maybe I might be down today. Maybe that project didn't work out, but you cannot quit after a week or, a year. I'm in it for life. And that just helped me. So it's all mental, man. Like, there's no secret weapon. It's all mental. 1,000%, man.
Commit to something for life. That is powerful. That is powerful. I love that perspective shift. I'm going to have to use that. So Mario, let's talk a bit more about your mission mindset. You started a podcast not too long ago called MissionPreneur, and you're not just talking the talk, you're actually walking the walk. Tell us a little bit about what a missionpreneur is, and let us know what mission you are passionate about.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So basically, Missionpreneur is all about creating a lifestyle business, okay, where you are location independent, you can be anywhere in the world, and it's fun, it's highly lucrative, high, profit margins, but also it truly makes a difference. So those are the three criteria that I came up with that, that I'm passionate about. It has to be fun, man. I have to enjoy what I'm doing. And it has to be lucrative. I live in the United States. I mean, it is what it is. And, money is part of it. So, to live a good lifestyle, you have to generate that revenue. But at the same time, and that's something that I didn't do for most of my career in this, as an entrepreneur, I want to have more impact behind it. Like I was really good at being focused on making money. And in the beginning, when you start out and you're struggling, you have to focus on that. You have to pay your bills and, pay your rent and stuff like that. And then after a couple of years, when things pick up, you hit critical mass, you get the clients, you get the money come in, you're more comfortable. Then I think you want to switch over and focus a little bit more on the mission behind it. And I always try to learn from people who already did what I want to do. So if I look at the super successful people like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett, when they're like 50, 60, 70, they realize, wow. It was great to build this big company, but there's so much more I can do in this world. And I don't want to wait till I'm 60, 70. I want to learn from those guys right now and make that shift right now while I'm 35. Already get that fulfillment from it. And it's easier said than done. Everything I just said sounds great. I started the podcast, but I actually didn't execute myself on a level where I was happy with. I didn't, contribute as much time and resources and money and effort. And now finally 2 weeks ago, I started my own fundraiser and, now I actually living up to what Missionpreneur stands for. So I created the vision, I created clarity, but not on the level where I executed. And now I finally have it. And it goes back to imperfect action, man.
Imperfect
action. Like 2 years. And this is a big lesson here. 2 years. I thought about it. I talked about it. I brainstormed it, but I didn't execute. I was just talking a big game. And then 2 weeks ago, I took imperfect action. I started the fundraiser. It took 5 minutes, man. 5 minutes. They make it so easy right now. And, within 2 weeks, we raised $10,000. So here's the big takeaway.
Wow.
First of all, I have momentum right now, which is great. But here's the bigger takeaway. Imagine I wouldn't have waited 2 years. Imagine how much impact I could have had, how much money I could have raised if I didn't hesitate for 2 years. And it only took 5 minutes to go to that step. And that was just a big aha moment for me. Like, geez, like how many people are out there having this gift in them, but they're not, letting it out. And my mission right now is to inspire more entrepreneurs, hopefully, to think about, how they can add a mission to their business.
Oh, man, Mario, I'm not even going to let you move forward beyond that one because you just made you dropped a bomb right in the middle of the living room right now. You said with your current mission, you planned, you brainstormed for 2 years, and then finally you took action, 2 weeks ago?
Correct.
And within 5 days, you raised $10,000. And I believe, if I recall, this is for a nonprofit called Pencils of Promise. Is that the one?
That's correct. Within 2 weeks, we raised 10,000 so far, and our goal is to raise 25K to build that school.
And the point that you've now made following that, Mario, is what if you had taken this imperfect action not just 2 weeks ago, but 2 years ago? What impact would that have had, not just on yourself, but on the kids halfway across the world that you're trying to help?
Correct. And I just, that just hit me, man, because I know so many people listening to this right now, they have something in their mind right now where they go like, wow, I have this idea about this company or this book or this podcast or something personal, morning routine that I want to implement or more quality time or date night or whatever it is. And they've been thinking about it for months and months and months. And I hope that this story kind of inspires them to, take that action step. It's going to feel great. You're going to have some momentum and it's going to lead to some positive stuff.
That is amazing. That is amazing. One more question on the topic of business, Mario. You've talked a lot about masterminds and about mentors, or you've touched on both of those subjects. Could you paint a picture or maybe explain for us how important both of those things are to an entrepreneur's growth?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do it, just really quick, if people are more interested, they can check out the fundraiser at missionpreneur.net/Africa, and they can check it out there. Now, when it comes to mentorship, back to your question, man, it's critical. Like in the beginning, when I started out for the first couple of years, I didn't have a mentor, like in terms of a person, like literally a person that I could talk to on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. I wish I had, because geez, man, if there is a shortcut in this game of entrepreneurship in life, the only one that I can think of is if you can find someone who already walked that walk, and they can, help you avoid the pitfalls. I think that's the only real shortcut there is. But here's the cool thing. Even though I didn't have a mentor or a accountability partner, what I did have was access to books. So way back in the beginning, I went to a library and, learned about self-development and entrepreneurship there and running a business. And then, Amazon became obviously very popular. I started making better money and I invested in more and more books. And I mean, there's just, man, everything that you face, any challenges, any problems, there's someone out there who already faced it and they wrote most likely a book about it. Now on YouTube, man, like I listen to Brian Tracy and Les Brown and those guys. Yeah, now you can have access to great mentors and for free. Like literally for free on YouTube. So if you don't have the money right now to like literally hire a coach or a business coach or a life coach, man, getting mentorship through books and Audible and YouTube, it makes the biggest difference in my life, man. And I can tell you, check this out just real quick. Every time when I stop, even if it's just 2 or 3 days, I tell you right now, man, every time I stop listening to something inspiration and motivation for 2 or 3 days, I immediately lose momentum, man. Like, no question about it. Like, there's just something, it's like taking a shower. You have to take it, you have to do it every day. Like, seriously, man, like if I listen to something in the morning and during the day in the evening and I, plug in my Audible, YouTube, it uplifts you. And when you hear someone every day tell you like, hey, you have to set goals, you have to have self-discipline, you have to work on this, then, at some point, man, it's going to become second nature.
That is so true and so powerful. I love how you've pointed out what's actually under all of our noses, YouTube. If you don't have the money right now for Audible, and I subscribe to Audible as well, it is an amazing resource because you can get through a lot more books listening to them than reading, especially if you're a busy entrepreneur and a parent. But if you don't even have money for Audible right now, YouTube is totally free. Fantastic resource. I love that, Mario.
Yep, and just to wrap it up really quick, obviously once you have a little bit of money come in and when you can afford it, I do recommend that you get a mentor in the field where you want to improve on the most. So investing in, I don't know, whatever it is, business coach, life coach, relationship coach, man. I now believe actually you should have a coach almost in every field because there's people who can push you and help you grow. And yeah, I'm a huge believer, man. I, usually join some masterminds or some high ticket coaching programs, and it doesn't have to be high ticket. It's just like, that's the only shortcut that I found in life, man, where someone can point you in the right direction and give you some guidance there.
I love that. That is very, very valuable. Thank you for that, Mario. All right, Mario, we're going to let you go in just a couple more minutes. This has been an amazing session. But before we do, we have to put you through the lightning round. Are you ready to go through lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. We're going to take you back and ask some childhood questions. So who was your favorite superhero growing up?
Favorite superhero, have to go with Batman.
Batman, the coolest. I like it. What about a favorite cartoon?
Cartoon? Oh, man, there were so many. It depends when, I mean, Inspector Gadget was awesome when it was.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. That's a good one. Did you have a favorite video game? Did you play video games growing up?
I did. When I grew up, definitely. Man, one of the, let's say, I would say Mortal Kombat when I was a teenager. And Super Mario, of course, man. Who wouldn't love Super Mario?
Yeah. Those are two very good ones. Mario, what was your first real job and how much did you earn?
First real job. Real job meaning like full time?
Well, no, first job actually. So as far back as you can remember.
Yeah, first job. It was actually, man, interesting. So, how can I explain it, man, in English? So when you go to, it was like a store that sells carpets. And in that store they had like hundreds of carpets like on each other. So it was really complicated to show people the carpet that was at the bottom. So you would have to always kind of switch over. And that was my job, man, just all day going through carpets. And I think it was about $6 or so, maybe an hour.
Wow. And that's probably where Mario started learning that perseverance, being able to stick with things. That's fantastic. All right. So Mario, we got one more question for you, and this is a bit of a big one. So your son is 1 year old, 13 months old right now?
Correct.
All right. So we're going to put you in we're going to create a time capsule, an audio time capsule. So let's pretend, Mario, that the year is 2045. We're going 30 years into the future. Your son is now grown. He's 6'5". How tall are you, Mario?
6'5", yeah.
Guy. Okay. Your son is 6'6", because he's getting even better food than you did. He's 6'6". He's happily married. He might even have his own little Mario or Maria Juniors running around. He's doing great. He's going to listen to this audio at that time on his birthday when he turns 31. What would you like to say to your son, Mario, about this moment in time, 2015, why you worked so hard as an entrepreneur, why you moved to Las Vegas, why you put so much emphasis on missions, why you did the things you did as a father? Talk to him right now. What would you like to say to him?
Whoa, that's a loaded question. Well, I would tell him that, I'm doing this because I want it to inspire him. I believe that your actions speak louder than your words, and I want my life to be my message. And, you have to lead by example. So if I can, if he can grow up watching me and listening to this and see me kicking butt and setting goals and having high standards for myself and doing the things that I said I want to do and giving him quality time, then I have a very, very high chance that he's going to do the same for his family and his wife and his kids. So that's what I would tell him, why I do it. It's setting an example, leading by example, and just really making sure that my life really is my message and that he sees that and gets inspired by it. And then he can make his decisions, based on that.
I love that. That is very, very powerful. Folks, you've been listening to Mr. Mario Brown, Marketer of the Year, best-selling author, serial lifestyle entrepreneur, and now MissionPreneur. You can support Mario's current initiative by going to missionpreneur.net/Africa. Mario is trying to raise $25,000 to build a school in Ghana, which is in West Africa. You can also find more information about Mario at mariobrown.net. This guy, if you thought it was dynamic on here, wait till you find out what more coaching he has on his website. Hit him up, mariobrown.net, and you can look up his podcast on iTunes or Stitcher if you don't have an Apple device. The podcast is called MissionPreneur Podcast, and it's changing lives everywhere. I really want you guys to support Mario. He's one of the good guys, and it's great to see the good guys doing so well. Mario, thank you for hanging out with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always good to have a chance to share my message and add some value. So I hope I could inspire someone here with this show and this content. So thanks for that opportunity.
I'm fired up. Mario is fired up, and I hope after this conversation you are as well. This is Balaji O with the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Subscribe, rate, review, and make sure you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, up, up, and away!
Thanks for supporting my dad's show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to iTunes. He said hot chocolate is for closers. If you don't subscribe, I don't get hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate.
Fear not. Although this chapter of Bravepreneur Parents Academy has come to its conclusion, we have many more adventures for you and your brave little heroes. Head over to bravequest.me for access to the Brave Quest Journal, an interactive activity playbook that rewards your little ones with points for accomplishing tasks that build character and unleash your child's inner superhero all before bedtime. We look forward to having you join us for more adventures next time on Bravepreneur Parents Academy.